I'm almost sure the Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Stop right there. Don't be afraid. See, if we really had much Holy Ghost as we thought, somebody would have shouted right there. Because let me tell you something. I can imagine that the children of Israel might have looked like me. And if you ever dealt with us, oh, y'all ain't saying nothing because maybe I'm talking about some of y'all, I don't know. But if you ever dealt with folk that look like us, there's some folk don't nothing make them happy. In fact, I heard one of our mothers say they wouldn't be happy if God slapped them on the lip. Sometimes there are people who always have something to say, and it's never anything positive. Now they'll shout and bust down the door and then criticize everything. And I can imagine that this encouragement to Joshua was to tell him, now I can't promise you won't have some headaches and some Lord have mercies. But I want you to know, Moses tells him, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. And let me tell you something, we need to focus on conquering our fear. Conquering, let me tell you something, for some, it's the fear of the unknown. For others, it's the fear of change. For some, it's the fear of I'm not enough. And for others, it's the fear of failure. And I want to just dwell for a minute right there on the fear of failure, because let me just say something. Let me tell you some high school graduates. When I graduated from Tennessee State and was preparing to go to Cambridge, Massachusetts, to Harvard, my biggest fear was that I was going to be a failure. Here it was. I did well. Graduated summa cum laude. Some were just glad to be thank you, Lord. But that's all right, too. But everybody was telling me all this stuff, and I didn't want to let anybody down. I had the anxiety and the dread of not meeting everybody's expectations. And let me tell you something. Some of us in here, if we told the truth, some of us haven't tried certain things because we feared failure. Anybody want to tell the truth in the church today? And let me tell you something. If we do not confront the fear of failure, we will miss living a full life. We will avoid taking the leaps of faith that God wants us to. We'll get stuck. Some of us will judge ourselves and name ourselves by our failure, and then we'll get caught in a backwards look. And saints, I want to challenge you. Do not get caught in a backwards look, because let me tell you something. Here's how I really discovered about overcoming fear. Sometimes in order to overcome the fear of failure, you got to recognize that everybody has failed at some time or another. Look at somebody and tell everybody failed at something. Tell somebody everybody failed at something. But here's the difference. You have to develop a get back up mentality. How many folks have failed and got back up? Some of us, we didn't get what we desired until the 17th time. We failed 16 times in a row. But what we really discovered is that God was using all the 16 failures in our life to build us up so that when we got to number 17, everything had worked for our good to help us when we got to our season of success. But then you have to allow your failures to give you focus. Some of us get more hungry when we failed. Some of us get more determined when we fail. How many folks have ever had that eye of the tiger? When you didn't get it right those first times, you were more determined to get it right until you hit it. But here's the other thing. Stop competing with everybody. The only person you really had competition with is the one who's looking back at you in the mirror. Stop judging yourself based on somebody else's stuff. Because let me tell you something. You see how somebody else is living. You see the car they driving and the house they living in. You don't even know they could be hiding from the repo man. Some folk judging, you better thank God you have what you have, you got what you got when you got it and how you got it. How many folk know what I'm talking about? Because the truth be told, all you have to do is look back over a few years and you can testify that God has brought you a mighty long way. God has brought you up and over and out of something. Stop competing. And then saints, sometimes if you're going to overcome the fear of failure, sometimes you just got to take the leap. But let me tell you something about taking the leap. How many folk know that God has already gone before you once you take the leap? And here's what I love about God. Even if you don't get it right once you take the leap, he helps to soften the fall. And what you realize is that God was always there. He was just waiting on you. Tell somebody, God might just be waiting on you. God might just be waiting on you to take the leap. God may just be waiting on you to make the move. Because if he's already gone ahead of you, that means he's already worked some things out for you.